Don't give me a laugh. Oh, yeah, that made me laugh.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Needham, absent. Councilman Bills is absent. Supervisor Runyon.
Here.
Councilman Brown.
Here.
Councilman Galusha.
Here.
Okay, so we're going to begin the organizational meeting for January 2023. I prepared it similar to last year where I did a lot of the basic resolutions all in a row so we could vote on them all at once if you don't have any discussion on any of the topics. The first one is TD Bank, a bank that we've had, and we keep the same bank. Official newspaper, Co-Star, and it's been our official newspaper. The mileage rate increased according to the IRS, raising their employee usage of their vehicle rate at 65.5 cents a mile. The return check charge is $35, same as last year. Town Hall is the polling place. The official bonding of town officials remains the same as last year. Authorizing payment of the claims prior to audit, same as last year. Town holidays, I did add the Friday after Thanksgiving. Everything else is the same. Resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign contracts and conduct day-to-day operations. This year I knew more about what contracts I was going to have to sign, so there's more of them listed here instead of having to have a special meeting to do it. The difference we have here is Chester Dog Shelter will be using that for animal control because I think Countryside was raising the fee to like $1,000 for the year, and we'll only pay a couple hundred at Chester. Everything else on that list is the same as last year. The schedule of appointments and rates of pay, that covers everybody's raises. Hi.
Yeah.
We're on the organizational meeting. It's inside the packet, inside the purple packet. And this is just all the same thing as what we did last year with all the resolutions for the basic stuff like the newspaper and bank and all that. So we're on page 2, the schedule of appointments and rates of pay. So this is covering what's in the budget for all of these people. And the deputy highway superintendent, I wanted to raise it from 80 cents an hour to $1 an hour, if you're all in agreement with that. Investment of surplus funds is the same. The procurement policy, if you flip 2 pages or here. I rewrote the procurement policy. It's very similar to last year. It's just in a different format. Nothing changed as far as totals or how to do it. It's just easier to read. Like if you're going to make a purchase, you can see less than 2,000 here, 2,000 to 20, over 20. Like it's just an easier to read one. And I did bring last year's if anybody wanted to look and compare. Just it's just really the format that changed.
I don't seem to have resolution 15. Can't seem to find it.
Resolution 15.
15.
That's the resolution to approve 1 through 14.
Approve everything?
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna, oh, okay, I see it. I
You
see
see
it
it?
now.
Okay.
All right, I get it. I was confused. Yeah.
So this is what the procurement policy looked like last year. It's all paragraphs. You have to read through all of this, you know, to try to figure out what you want to do. And all I did was break it out and make it in number format. So if you want time to read it or look it over, it's up to you.
One of the things that we had questions about, and I never understood how it applied. The example, and this was one of my concerns, is say the highway department has a vehicle, something, or a piece of equipment needs work done, and it's gonna cost $5,000.
Okay,
It doesn't really make sense to have to get bids from 3 different vendors for maintenance kind of work or repair work, because, well, for one, shops won't bid on stuff like that, and
I think it would come under emergency. It's gotta be repaired. It's one of the exclusions. Where, number 12, no
okay.
quotes are required under the following circumstances. If it has to be repaired, that's kind of important to do right away.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
that would cover it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
not
enough.
like buying, a new plow.
Right,
If it has to be fixed. it
Right.
has to be fixed.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And number 13 is our town board meetings will be here at the town hall, still the third Thursday, starting at 4:30. That still works for everybody, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
liking that? Okay.
Oh, I like it.
And then number 14 is allowing me to apply for the following grants. These are all the grants that I've gotten information on. I do have them here in a folder if anybody wanted to look through them to see what they're involving. Or if you want copies of any of them, of course, as I do them, I'll provide you with copies. So do you have any other discussion on anything else here in this 1 through 14? No? Okay, good.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay, then does someone want to bring this motion to the floor? No?
Ed made the motion, I'll second it.
Ed and Randy. Okay. Whereas the town board has heard and had opportunity for discussion on resolutions 1 to 14 and agrees with same, be it resolved, resolutions 1 through 14 are approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next resolution is allowing the supervisor to do budget adjustments necessary to close out December and finalize the year-end closing for 2022. Someone bring that to the floor,
I'll make
Ready?
the motion,
and Ed, you second it?
Ed second.
Okay. Whereas final invoices for 2022 are submitted on abstract 15 and are submitted at this meeting for audit and payment of the claims. And whereas the monthly closing cannot take place until all December invoices are reflected as paid in the Williamson Law Books accounting software for 2022. And whereas to close the 2022 financials, any existing negatives in the account codes must be rectified. And whereas the 2023 startup and accounting entries cannot be entered until the 2022 closing, therefore be it resolved, the town board approves the attached budget adjustments and authorizes the supervisor to complete any necessary 2022 budget adjustments to eliminate negative account codes and close the year. December financials will be available at the regular January meeting, as well as a final year-end financial report. So attached right behind this is a spreadsheet. It shows the codes and the names, what it was in November, the November budget adjustments that we approved. After the budget adjustment, what the dollar amount was, they were all brought to zero there. And then abstract 15, which if you see the next page, this one here, this shows you, and it's a good report that I may bring every month because it shows you for this abstract, every account code and what the new balance is before I close the month. This gives it to me before I close the month, so I already know what it's going to be, which is really a good thing. So I just took this form and plugged in the numbers here and then figured out where to get it from. We do have surplus revenue. I didn't have to take from any expense code to cover it, and they're all going to be brought to zero. Highway had gotten $152,000 in FEMA money, and that's what I'm using to cover the negative in their general repairs contractual. That wasn't part of November. It should have been, but they were budgeted $100,000, and they reached $188,000 for fuel and repairs. So
It's getting old, the machine.
I know, but hopefully with the 2 new trucks, it will lower the repairs, but fuel, there's nothing we can do about. And that covers everything, you know, all the little supplies that they need to keep everything running.
So let me just make sure I understand what we're doing here. So
Okay.
on this table that you've created here, the top one shows which budget codes are in the negative. For example, the assessor contractuals in the negative for $110.
Right,
And then the subsequent table shows $110 being taken from A 2610 fines and forfeited bail.
yes,
Okay, so that's being used to balance the assessor budget.
yep,
So that's what each one of these is, of course, corresponds to one in the table below.
yes,
And then for the highway fund, we have general repairs and contractual is in the red for $94,243.19.
yes, because the budget was 100,000.
And we're taking money from the FEMA code for the same amount. Now, for FEMA, is that allowable to use FEMA money for that purpose?
Well, I'm not technically using it to cover that. What I'm doing is increasing the budget. The FEMA money had no budget code.
Okay,
So when I increase the budget for FEMA, that allows me to increase a budget for an expense code, because the revenue and the expense are both going up.
okay. So this just shows which codes it's coming from and which ones.
Yeah,
Are
which
being
which
zeroed
revenue
out.
I'm increasing, and there's still money left in the FEMA code. I mean, it's still, we got 152,000 there, but, yeah, because it has to balance, the revenues and the expenses have to balance equally. So if I've got extra revenue in one code, that allows me to increase the expense in another code. It's not being used for that technically, it's just saying, okay, your budget's higher for the amount of money you can spend.
Yeah. Got a seat?
Are you okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good enough.
you're good? Okay, so, all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The next one is the long-awaited fund balance policy.
Yep. Yeah,
Do you want to bring that to the floor?
yeah, I will. I like it.
Do you want a second?
Yeah.
Okay, whereas the comptroller's office highly recommends each town create a fund balance policy to set aside a portion of unrestricted fund balance in order to offset future revenue shortfalls and/or unexpected expenditures. And whereas a formal policy allowing for a predetermined amount of savings would enhance the credit rating of the town, provide collateral for future loans or grant matching, and improve long-term planning initiatives, be it resolved, the town of Thurman adopts a 15% of appropriations for the general fund and highway fund as a sufficient amount to hold in fund balance. And be it resolved that the Thurman Town Board adopts the attached fund balance policy, which is subject to review and revision on an annual basis. I did do this two ways. In your packet, it only shows 15%. The other way is to cover 3 months of your expenses. So 3 months of expenses for the general fund would be $176,618, and 3 months of highway fund would be $362,072. So you can choose, or have a different amount, whatever you want. Right now, we almost have the 15% in there. We have about, I think, 103 in general with the interest, and the highway is about 206 or something like that. Wait, I think I do have that somewhere here, but do you have a preference to which one you'd want to go with? No preference?
I mean, it sounds like a fairly substantial difference between 15%.
I know, it is,
I mean,
yeah.
well, 3 months is 25%, so yeah, it's,
Yeah, I mean, we can go with the 15 and like at the next organizational meeting, see where we're at.
Is there, I mean, so this money is really being set aside in case we have an emergency, and I mean, what kind of emergencies do we run into where we would need that much money? I mean,
Right, well,
Bridge out.
first of all, I want to say thank you, because I've been advocating for having a fund balance policy for a long time, and I appreciate the fact that this is being done now. That's fantastic.
One bridge out, one road wash out, run it back, more than take care of that.
Irene or blizzard or something, we
Yeah.
gotta have something to fall back on.
Do you guys think it would be wise to go with 3 months, or are you satisfied with 15%? Okay.
personally, I like the 3 months idea.
I do too, if we can handle it.
Right, right.
I do have a couple of things that I wanted to comment on here. One is kind of a recommendation. On the highway fund, it says the fund balance to cover unexpected expenditures, natural disasters requiring road repair and equipment rental, or to fund additional equipment. A reasonable amount for this fund is determined to be 15% highway fund appropriations. So that doesn't appear to include setting money aside for purchases of new equipment. And I think we should have an equipment fund.
Separate.
It's separate because we have a highway garage fund, we have a C&D closure fund.
Yeah.
We need to be on a schedule to replace equipment. I mean, Pat can speak to this better than I can, but how many pieces of equipment, between trucks, loaders, graders, how many pieces of equipment do we own?
It's 8 trucks, 3 1-tons, a pickup truck, grader, backhoe, 2 payloaders, 61-ton John Deere mowing tractor, chipper, just very small stuff, chainsaws.
You're up to 19 pieces of equipment, just counting the big stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, if we wanted to try and keep stuff from not being too old, we need to be able to replace, say, 2 pieces of equipment every year on a 9-year cycle, just to keep our equipment less than 9 years old. So in order to do that, I think that we should have a highway equipment fund
We could do that.
in addition to the funds that we have here, and we have to figure out how to apportion the fund balance to do that.
So we have to
Probably-
percentage down.
Probably given that we've got so many other funds that we're trying to do, sticking with 15% for the general and the highway fund is good. We know what we have to put in the C&D because that's $50,000 a year for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the highway fund, it was established with 300,000, but it doesn't really say how much we're adding to it annually. And I guess that raises my last question is, so once you've accounted for all of these, let's say there's 150,000 left over that isn't earmarked for one of these. Shouldn't our fund balance policy say what you do with that remaining balance? It should go someplace in one of these funds. And I mean, the obvious one is to put it in the highway garage fund, because that's the big one that the other ones, we kind of know what the dollar amount is.
Yeah.
So any excess could either go in the highway garage fund or the highway equipment fund.
Okay.
So one or the other.
Well, the one sentence says, for the highway garage, this fund was established with 300,000 and increases will be determined by town board majority vote. We can have a sentence like that for the equipment fund too, to split it up the way we want. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Do you want to start it with something like 20,000 or, see what we've got left and
that was my last question is, what's the date, or at what point in time do we decide how much we have in the fund balance and how much we're gonna put in? Is it the end of each year? Is that when we do it?
well, this is for the two that are gonna be the 15% of the 3 months, whatever, we just take the appropriations off the budget and do the math. It's already in there. So say next year comes, if we're 15% of appropriations and they don't change, nothing, we don't add to it, unless you wanna add to it.
Okay, but it's 15% as of when? The beginning of the year?
It would, yeah, it would have to be 15% of when we do the budget for the beginning of the year, yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Mhm.
So when you do the monthly reports for us, the fund balance is now going to be broken down, so it's going to show restricted fund balance 15% for general fund, 15% for highway fund, and then we're going to show 50,000 in the C&D closure plus whatever's already in there,
The two payments for there's
So there's
100,000 in there,
100,000 in there.
2023 is already in there.
and then the balance we will get to decide at
Mhm.
that time
Yeah,
between the highway garage and the highway equipment fund.
yeah,
I mean, we could have put it all in one or the other, split it up sometime.
right, we can always
Okay.
move it around if we need to, too.
So we'll need to know the unrestricted fund balance at the next board meeting.
Right,
And then we'll make those decisions
Okay.
at that point in time.
yeah. Now, so do you wanna wait on this? Do you wanna adopt this now, subject to changes at any time?
Since we've got a meeting next week, our
Yeah,
regular
right.
board meeting, why don't you take this and add the equipment fund?
Okay.
And the wording for that, and then
Okay,
we'll adopt it at the next meeting.
okay. Do
That
you have
way,
any, so you'll figure out what the amount should be for the equipment fund at the next meeting after we know where we're at?
Yeah.
That's what you want to do, okay,
that makes sense.
yeah, that's fine, okay, so then,
Thank you very much for doing this.
oh, no problem, so this one I'll just write,
We're getting our financial
one.
house in order.
we're in good shape, I gotta say, money-wise. Okay, the next one then, so we don't have to vote on that, we're just gonna vote to postpone that to the next meeting. The resolution to increase the fees at the landfill. I could bring this one to the floor, Susan. Do you want to second
I'll
that?
second.
I couldn't hear who did that.
Deb brought it to the floor and Doug seconded it.
Okay. This is resolution to increase fees at the landfill, whereas the increased hauling costs have resulted in higher expenditures for the town, making it necessary to increase our fees. Be it resolved that the town of Thurman will increase rates according to the attached schedule. So the next page tells you where we are at now in 2022. There's a space for us to figure out what we want for 2023. And then at the bottom is the C&D new rules as of April 5th. This is what they're allowed to take.
Right.
I thought that something like this, without this column, would be a good sign for your,
Yep.
so people know when they come in, right? This will work.
We can make copies and.
We can make it big on a poster board at Staples and post it somewhere.
Right, yep.
Okay, so does anybody have any ideas on what they wanna see increased? You work up there, you know what's coming in.
But my first question is, June, but we'll get back to you on.
No, we don't have the new, but I'm pretty sure it's 500 a haul.
Oh, I think the first thing, the bags are pretty good, we're making okay on that, I think.
Okay,
It's like the mattresses, couch, you know, the larger stuff, the non-processed, and tires.
tires is the big thing.
I personally think we should raise our tires to $10.
$10?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Mhm. It would seem that if we know how much we collected,
Oh, yeah,
and we know how much we budgeted for it,
yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a way to calculate this rather than just kind of wing the numbers, wing it.
Well, I
Is-
think that we would have to split the expense codes into categories,
Yeah.
because right now, everything goes into one code.
It does.
Right.
So if we had a code for non-processables, a code for, I mean, that would be a lot of, wouldn't be hard to create the codes, but he would have to be splitting everything out, which you pretty much, don't you do it anyway, split them out? You know how many tires you took in.
I guess
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm, I
Yeah,
guess,
I do, yeah. Well, I don't have it figured with me. I can tell you, I go through my receipts.
I mean, say like now when they go down with the garbage truck, how much does that cost us? I mean, say
Well, we have
back
all
a year
that.
ago
Yeah.
and then back to like today, how
Yeah.
much is it increased and is it gonna, should we add maybe that again for next year so that we have enough to cover it?
Right,
Cause it's gonna go up more, I
Right.
mean, it's just,
didn't
How
it
much
go
did
from
you say?
350 to 500 for the home?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm
I know.
saying, it's gone up a lot, I mean,
Mhm.
you know,
and technically, the best way to do this, if we had a scale, and then
Yeah.
I can tell you that it's almost impossible to guess the weight of anything. And every pickup is different, you know, you
Mhm.
got 5-foot beds, you got 6 foot, some are 18 inches deep, some are 8 foot long, some are 2 foot deep.
so I guess what I'm wondering is there a way to calculate if our expenditures are exceeding our revenues by, let's say 15%, say it's costing us 15% more to get rid of the stuff than it is to, that we're getting out of the money for it. If we raise all of our rates 15%, that'll even out for next year, we can pad it a little bit if we need to, because we know costs are going up. I mean, make a calculation like that I think at least we have some basis we can justify to people, rather than pick an arbitrary number out of the air.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's not an arbitrary number, if you look at what it costs us sometimes to get rid of this stuff,
Mhm.
we're behind.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
The numbers are right there.
Yeah,
If people
So-
would look at this stuff, they would see the cost, and I try to show them, you know,
Well,
on our general contract, you know, our.
I think
the
that's what I'm
cost.
saying,
Yeah. Oh,
is if we know that it costs a certain amount, and we're only charging $1, but it's costing us $1.25 to get rid of something, we know we're exceeding 25%, so if we raise our rates 25%, then we should break even.
I'm wondering if I could do that. I have the November
See-
financials here. I might be able, because I can tell you that we put 15,000 in the budget for garbage removal and disposal charges, and we took in, as of the end of November, 22,679.
Okay, so 22,679
Yeah.
Quite a contrast.
is how much that's our revenue.
Yep.
Okay.
And then,
What did we spend?
I think we've talked about this before too, about getting scales.
yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I mean, that would be more,
I think that's something, if we're gonna go ahead with the highway garage, the whole development of the site up there,
It needs to be.
we could incorporate that all
that
into
right
that.
in the highway, right on the side of the garage or something.
I mean, you're gonna redevelop that whole site and,
Yeah.
To
so.
keep it, I'm just concerned about keeping it fair to every taxpayer.
Hmm?
Because some people, you know, they bring a bag in, some are light, some of them hardly pick up. You know, back to, you know, some of them are heavy,
Yes.
you know, so
They
they.
pack everything, they get,
Yeah.
they wanna get their money's worth.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, and you can't blame them.
No, no.
But we need to keep it fair to every taxpayer, you know.
We spent
And
79,000.
like I said, we're
How
not.
much?
79,000, but see, that number's not broken out. That includes the electric, that includes the fuel, that includes the porta-john, it includes a lot of things,
Right.
but it was 79,000 at the end of November for that refuse and garbage contractual. it would need to be broken out
Oh, yeah.
for you to really, compare
Yeah.
hauling versus everything else.
'Cause that's expensive.
If you could get the disposal expenses
Yeah.
and then simply divide that by the revenue,
Mm-hmm.
you know right there how much, what percentage you need to raise it, just to have broken even in the past year.
Yeah.
And if it's, say it's 17%, we can
I
make it
figured
20%
18.
rounded
I
off.
figured 18 myself.
Okay,
18%?
I figured that, yeah. Somewhere, that's just my rough figure, but I haven't audited my books for the years.
so that
I'll bring them
basically,
in and have them do them.
It wouldn't be hard for me to do this by the
No,
next
okay.
meeting. I
so
could
that
just go
basically
through-
tells us that if it was 18% last year is how much we overran it, then we probably need to raise rates 20% just to pad it a little bit for increasing expenses for the next year.
It's-
I think the plant can give you a figure from January 1 of last year, how many tons you don't tell the garbage truck.
Oh,
yeah.
that's on record already, Pat.
Yeah.
We've got that on every,
On the bills.
on the bills.
They'll tell you
That
how many
won't pop
tons,
up.
yeah. Actually, I need that for the
That's
annual
it,
report, so I'm gonna
one
need that
report for the state asks all that, how much is in the C&D,
Mhm.
how much we dispose of, household trash, and
Yeah,
it's up there.
so why don't we do that? We'll postpone this
That's
one to the
fine,
next
yeah.
meeting, I'll get the
Yeah,
numbers
that makes
together,
sense.
and then we'll be able to do that.
You're gonna postpone this one?
Yeah, till the next meeting.
And you're going back to the last one, right?
What?
The last one that you just did.
That we
come down.
We
postponed that one
postponed
too.
Should we actually be voting to table then?
Yeah, I think
Sure,
so.
Okay.
Yeah, you're confusing me a little bit.
I
with
think
what
that's
you're
what we
doing.
should be doing.
Wait a minute,
So,
wait,
Beth,
so, okay.
the resolution that's on the floor is resolution
Landfill fee.
Right.
number 18.
So you're gonna
so-
table?
I'll make a motion that we table this resolution, resolution 18,
Second.
the fees to increase, or increase fees at the landfill.
Mhm.
And Ed seconds that motion,
Okay,
so we need to do all in favor.
I'm
Aye.
in favor,
Aye.
aye,
Okay,
Four
so we
ayes.
tabled that one.
Yep, all on
And we
it.
actually,
17
we still have 17
to
open.
table.
so you can make a motion to table
I'll
that,
make a
right?
motion to table it.
Okay, table, wait a minute, table number 17.
I'll second it.
Okay, Debbie made a motion. Second is,
So is that gonna mess you up? You're gonna have to change all the numbers?
no, I just
No?
have to record it exactly as it happens.
Mhm.
Okay,
We need to vote.
Mhm.
aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, the next one we have is workplace violence policy. The violations from the Department of Labor came in. The only thing they cited us on, despite the fact of the condition of the highway garage, was workplace violence. The posters that need to be up over on this side, I put them up already. The violation is hanging on the bulletin board that I put up over there next to the door. So he was very helpful for me to how to do it.
Okay, I'll make the motion to introduce the resolution.
Okay.
I'll second.
Doug seconded.
Mhm.
So, resolution approving revisions to the Town of Thurman Workplace Violence Prevention Plan and Program. New York State Labor Law 27B, as amended by the 2006 New York State Legislature, requires that public employers are to evaluate the safety of the workplace and implement workplace safety training for all employees. And whereas pursuant to Resolution Number 91 of 2011, the Town of Thurman Town Board authorized the adoption of a program on workplace violence. Be it resolved that the Town of Thurman Town Board hereby approves and authorizes the implementation of the attached revised workplace violence prevention plan and program to be reviewed on an annual basis, and be it further resolved that said program shall take effect immediately and will be available for review in accordance with the provisions of the workplace violence prevention plan and program. This is pretty much directly right off their website. He helped me to know what ours would need to say. We need to have a policy statement, which is the first page, and then every employee will get a copy of this policy. They'll have to sign here that they received it and understand it. And it's pretty much, it's out on the website. He was pretty helpful about it. And so it will explain to people what they would need to do. If they're subjected to it, we've never really had a case of this, but toward the back of it are all these appendices, like for instance, once a year, I would have to go through, ask people if they've had any issues, identify risks that they may have, identify what we do here to prevent any issues. And then there's an evaluation of the physical environment that I would have to fill out here, that, like the reception area, and barriers that separate clients from the work area, and are there multiple exits, things like that. What doors are locked and unlocked? Do you have a remote buzzer or panic bar? Video monitor. So he was satisfied with all that we have here as far as, you know, cameras are on, I can see all around inside and outside the building. There's plastic shields and half doors. There's a lot that we have that protects individuals here. So this I need to, once it's adopted, I need to send it to him so he can look it over and make sure that we covered everything. Here's an incident report that somebody would fill out if they felt they were subjected to it. It just outlines all the rules that somebody would follow and the training outline. So I know that you probably don't, unless you want to sit and read the whole thing right now, you can table this and vote on it next month, or if you think it's okay, we can vote on it now.
I mean, this is right off their website, so.
It's right off the Department of Labor website, yeah.
I think we can vote on it.
Okay. All right, I don't think we need to roll call vote. Do you have any discussion more on it to say, or you? No? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So now we'll be open to discussion before we do payment of the claims. There's only really two things that I wanted to bring up, but if you want to discuss anything first, that's fine. Anything?
The only thing I was gonna mention is, the fund balance policy is great, workplace violence program, that's good. As I recall from the training we took when we went to the newly elected officials, I think there's like 7 policies were required by law to have in effect.
Okay.
Don't quote me on the number, I think it's 7. And I don't know that we've actually addressed all of those. And
Okay,
so,
well, I have my organizational meeting packet from last year. Would we have?
yeah, I don't know that we enumerated them in there.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah, I think we're probably overdue to, renew them, adopt them, whatever we have to do, I can't remember.
okay.
So I just wanted to mention it because I know that we're supposed to have them.
Okay, I'll look into that. Where would I find them?
I'll try to look it up and see if I
Okay.
can find
And
it.
shoot me an email. I just wondered though, what if they're already in effect but we're not changing them? Do we still need to adopt them like because it's a new year?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I really, I don't wanna say, my gut tells me we're supposed to renew them each year,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know for sure if that's right,
All right.
so.
I'll look into that though and see what I can find on that. And if you do too, then shoot me an email. Because I don't want to exclude anything that we may need to have, and I'd rather have it in there to make next year easier.
Yep.
Okay, the two things that I wanted to discuss, the first one is the historian salary. She did not get paid this year because she wasn't sure she was going to want to be paid. I talked to her today, and I was wondering if we could get approval to pay her in January for the prior year, because it will affect, the W-2s are already gonna be done. So she understands that it may make her W-2 for next year twice as high, but do you think that that's acceptable?
I mean, I feel like we owe her, she did
Oh,
the
yeah.
job,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I would like to do it.
Yeah.
And she's okay with the fact that I couldn't go back in time and do it. It would have to count for 2 for next year on her W-2, and she's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So we could do that?
Yep.
Okay, I'll don't think we need a resolution, I think, to payroll. The second thing is I have, and I don't have any copies, but I can hand them out to you. The highway is interested in purchasing a new truck. I believe it's what, an F-250, is that what it is? Yeah, F-250 truck. They have 3 quotes that I was given today. If you wanna take a look at them. So they have $150,000 for equipment in their budget. After paying the 2 payments on the other trucks, they're gonna have about $46,000 left over that they can use, so it is funded.
I think Warrensburg has a little bit of,
Yeah.
That's what I figured. I'm surprised with that too.
I'm surprised too,
Greenwich.
the last time they came in like 12,000 more than
Yeah,
the other people.
I see them. I
Well,
know about the phones already.
And the good thing is, you know,
Mhm.
they're getting a 2022 price instead of next year being higher,
I'm surprised that
and it's in stock.
Greenwich didn't beat his price. That's what's surprising.
They beat them bad last time, Warrensburg.
Yep.
They went to
Very
12,000 more.
surprised.
And plus they get that 9,500 stipend from the state for selling to us.
Mhm.
So this will replace the truck you're driving now?
No, this would replace the 06.
Okay.
That's about true.
No, the ones we got now, the ones on the red truck, they're in excellent shape, not that old.
Because you can't get a seat for that one for him anymore.
No, the box is rather right now, sits like that, but
It's
it's not a good truck, we only gave 13,000 for it back in 06.
Nothing left of it
No, it's
though.
just lights, there's no lights work on it or anything, all
It's
that.
an 06.
So we'll surplus that one out?
Yeah.
Well, we were offering scrap price for it, but, I mean, they can put it up a bit, but
Yeah.
it ain't, I don't even know if they ever put it on the road, you know, we just won't pass inspection. You hit the brakes, your signal light comes on, it's the only light you got on the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's going out for scrap then, is that what's happening?
Definitely time for a new.
Take it off the road, that's for sure.
Taking it off the road, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have a formal resolution typed up, but, we could just go ahead and vote, can't we?
I don't know why we couldn't. I'll bring the resolution. To
Okay.
purchase a new F-250 for the highway.
Purchase new.
And there's no plow on that either.
No.
We don't really need another plow. We've got 3 pickups here that got plows, and most of the time, you're using 2 at the most. You know?
Right.
There's just no sense.
But this has the snowplow prep package, so
Yes.
you can use it if you need it.
Yeah, it's got the tow for towing the chipper and everything, but,
Mhm.
you know, they come with that pretty much standard now.
Do you wanna second it?
I couldn't hear who did the motion. Ed?
Yeah.
Ed made the motion, Doug seconded.
Okay. I just got it right, what exactly kind of truck?
It's gonna be purchasing a new 2022 F-250, right? It's
2022 F-250
Super
truck?
Pickup truck.
Pickup truck. Oh, I see it, yeah.
We need
4-wheel
the,
drive.
we need the budget code.
Mhm.
Oh, it's the, equipment.
And how much?
It's 42,800.
42,800?
Mhm.
Okay. So a 250 pickup truck, four-wheel drive for 42,800.
Yes,
Okay, just wanna make sure I have that down right.
Per the quote provided by Warren Ford, the lowest.
Yeah, per quote from who?
Warren Ford.
Warren.
Quote from Warren Ford.
And it's DA 5130.2.
Okay, that's the funds, okay. You want a roll call on that one?
No, I don't think so, we can just vote, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes. Okay, I don't think there's anything else I have, anybody else have anything? Nope. All right, do resolution to adjourn.
You got the
Okay.
payment of claims.
Paying the claims.
Oh, thanks, Randy. At the end of my packet, so, okay. Resolution?
Close the year out.
Yeah, right, I'm really looking forward to doing that. Resolution to approve payment of the claims. Bring that to the floor.
I'll make the motion.
Andy, okay.
I'll second.
Ed seconded.
Okay, Ed.
Paying total of abstract 15, the last abstract for 2022, for $6,832.81 for general fund. And abstract 15 for highway fund, $38,160.64, for a total of $44,993.45. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now Doug can make his motion.
Yeah.
Motion?
Make a motion
Motion
to adjourn.
to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Alrighty.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Is this mine? I should.
Yeah, that's right. I'll keep working on
Thank you for doing that fund balance policy.
that.
No
I
problem.
think that's important and I think it's good.
Yep, it is. Once you find out from the county, who registered, who's not. and then we-
Yeah, I would like to, I'll shoot that email over to him tomorrow.
You can send me an email on it.
I'll find out, and I also will let you know when I get the master sheet from you.
Yeah, okay. That we do need, so
I know.
that would help us so much better. Separately.
I know I've seen it, because I know it went up to 500.
It's gone.
So Ralph and the guys